It's been about a month now since I decided to make a video on Gabbie Hanna weaponizing mental health. Every night I would make notes on my phone, transfer them to my computer so that I could have something to refer to when I sat down to talk to the camera. But here's the thing. I'm flying solo tonight. I have no notes. I'm speaking directly from the heart because that's how passionately I feel about this subject. I'm Linda. This is Linda's World, and this is my take on Gabbie Hanna and the weaponization of mental health. I have plenty to say about this topic, and it starts right now. Before I just dive into my big bucket of opinions here, I want to tell you a couple of things about me and this channel that might help you focus a little more. So first and foremost, this is not a drama or tea channel. I have nothing against them, but this is a mental health and inspirational channel. So you might wonder why I'm talking about Gabbie Hanna and YouTube drama. My answer to you is this. This has gone well beyond YouTube drama at this point, and it's sort of leaked over into my category. Now, the next thing you need to know is that I don't have a dog in this fight. I have only been a content creator for 2 years, and I'm 44 years old, so I didn't know YouTubers were a thing before about 3 years ago. I used to watch YouTube for like old Saturday Night Live clips and like how to French braid your bangs, you know what I mean? I didn't know that you could have a channel. So I don't come at this with any preconceived notions about people's content, Gabbie's or Jessie Smiles or Trisha Paytas's or anybody else's content. I'm new here. And finally, you need to know that I am bipolar and I have generalized anxiety. So I am a person who suffers from mental illness. So weaponizing mental health is something that kind of gets my goat. And I think it sort of defames the entire mental health community. So that's where I had to step in and press record here. So here I go. Now, when I say weaponize mental health, I want to define my terms. I'm talking about a person who uses their own personal mental health struggles, real or imagined, or somebody else's mental health struggles, real or imagined, or the vocabulary of mental health awareness as a weapon, as a way to get what you want, to get profit, or to push your agenda, or to hold something over someone's head, or to defame another person in the public eye, or whatever it is that you're pushing for. It's the equivalent of a man holding a gun and saying, "Give me all your money." You know, instead they're holding words like narcissistic abuser and gaslighting, which Gabbie does all the time.
You are narcissistic abusers. And you have been for 6 fucking years, Jessie Smiles.
And then making her demands. So here's where we find our story at the beginning. Gabbie and Jessie Smiles. I find it to be incredibly unconscionable. I find it to be the lowest act of a human being to take a person's trauma and continually make them relive it. And not only make them relive it, but on your terms. If you've been living under a rock or you just watch these videos because you like me and you don't know what I'm talking about, Jessie Smiles was SA'd, look in the glossary of terms to determine what that means for the real words there, by her ex-boyfriend Curtis Lepore. They were both Viners, and she suffered a concussion. She went to his house to like go to sleep, and she woke up and found that that's what he was doing to her. And he pled guilty to a lesser charge, I imagine. And there you have it. But he's convicted, and so Gabbie took it upon herself to take her former's best friend's assailant and BFF him and you know, like try to collaborate with him and FaceTime him and say, "Dude, I just want to get your opinion. Like, I want to know your side of the story." I'm editing this video right now and I'm eating M&Ms while I'm doing so. And I just wanted to say, if my best friend who lives across the hall from me ever asked my abuser or my assailant or a person who'd harmed me in that way for his side of the story, we wouldn't be friends. It's that simple. And made comments on Twitter like bashing the victim, who was her best friend and roommate at one point, because why? I don't know. But for clout, as they say in the YouTube world, I don't know. But the point is, she did it. And it's been 6 years, and Jessie has since gotten married and had a baby, and she's having another one. And congratulations, Jessie, if you ever see this video. And like, she can't, Jessie can't live her life because she can't let it alone because Gabbie has turned her mental health struggles against her. She went and DM'd a fan who may or may not be of age, by the way, to like releasing like text messages, like screenshots of messages from Jessie defaming her and talking about how she's on medication and talking about her own mental health struggles and her medication and this and that, that she has no right to say because that's Jessie's business, not hers. And like I have bipolar disorder. If some YouTuber was making fun of me for being bipolar, I'd be offended at that, right? And this person was her friend. And even if she wasn't her friend, even if they never knew each other from Adam, you don't do that to somebody. You don't weaponize somebody's trauma against them. As far as I understand it, Gabbie in the 3-hour phone call was demanding like retribution. She wanted like a public apology and sign an NDA agreement and all these like ridiculous legalese things, when all she would have had to do was be like, I didn't understand it at the time. I apologize to the harm I caused. The end. And she didn't do that. Instead, she keeps at this poor girl. I shouldn't say girl, she's a grown woman who's just trying to live her life and get over the fact and never hear the name Curtis Lepore again as long as she lives. But this is what Gabbie is doing. And she has the audacity, the temerity to call this person a narcissistic abuser and say that Jessie Smiles is her abuser. Nothing is bigger in the world of gaslighting, okay, a term that Gabbie loves so dearly, than to abuse a person mentally, physically, whichever way, and then turn the table and say that they're the ones abusing you when they attempt to react to it. Like, that's the biggest gaslighting I've ever seen. Okay. Now, and I should know because I was married to one. Now, as we're down the road of narcissistic abuse and gaslighting, I want to point out that a way that Gabbie weaponizes mental health that I personally don't care for is her overuse of the buzzwords, as they're called. Now, I'm an educator, and after the pandemic this year, we were trained via Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting at my school about how to talk to the children about the concepts. I don't teach children, I teach teens, but still, like how to take people who are minors, who are in your room all day, and sort of like appreciate the trauma that they've gone through due to COVID, and like how their dad may not have worked in a year. They may have lost, family members to the virus and whatever. Like, and so how to, like, what are the buzzwords? How do you approach a person with trauma or whatever? And so I know what the buzzwords are. I knew it before because I'm a mental health advocate, but still, Gabbie takes the buzzwords and she feeds them to the audience because people are going to believe it. Because thankfully, I'm saying this is a good thing, we live in 2021, a time when people's stories are being more believed than ever before. We live in an era of Me Too and Time's Up. We live in an era where women are standing up and saying, no, thank you, no more. I will not live in fear of men. We're living in a time where children are removed from their home because they're abused, that neighbors don't look the other way. We're living in a wonderful time for trauma and PTSD. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds creepy to say it's a wonderful time, but by that I mean we're getting the help that we need. Like we're eons away from where we were when I was born. And I was born a long time ago. So she has the vernacular. She has the words. She can say gaslighting. And the whole world's going to jump on the bandwagon. She knows that if she says, I'm being abused, I'm being gaslit, that the whole friggin' universe is going to be like, oh no, I'm so sorry for your struggle. When she's the person who's making folks struggle. When she's the abuser. When she won't let a dog lie. Okay? That is abusive, and she is twisting the narrative, and that is gaslighting. And now, because I fear I've got a little heated about it, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to talk about the weaponization of eating disorders. Now, I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but I think it bears mentioning that one of the other ways in which Gabbie is weaponizing mental health is through her explanation of her antics on Escape the Night. Now, if you don't know what Escape the Night is, basically the YouTubers Joey Graceffa and Daniel Prada, who are two lovely dudes that I haven't seen much of their content, but I have seen some and I appreciate them very much. They have Escape the Night, basically this like scripted series, and Tana Mojo was in it, and I forget who else was in it, and Gabbie was in it, and they have some seasons, and they film, and it's a cool thing. And Gabbie was the biggest nightmare diva, Diana Ross, Mariah Carey level diva on set than like ever before. But the thing is that it's not even about her diva behavior. It's about that she couldn't even just be difficult. She had to come back and say that they were triggering her eating disorder because of craft services. She was apparently supposed to fill out a form that said what her dietary recommendations were, you know, or restrictions or whatever, for so that they could have food on set for people's needs, you know. And poor Daniel talked for an hour about all the different ways that he tried to make Gabbie feel at home and everything, and that one of those things was the food. And she complained that she was eating bad food and it was triggering her eating disorder, and she needed like veggies and hummus or whatever, you know. And he like went to Whole Foods and he tried to help her, and he like bent over backwards in ways that he probably shouldn't have done, you know, so that she could feel comfortable with the meal choices there. And she still is walking around talking about how it triggered her eating disorder. Now look, it is not my place to say whether or not Gabbie Hanna has an eating disorder. I'm not a doctor. I am not diagnosing anybody today. But I will say that I know one or two people, one specifically that comes to mind, who suffers from what is called situational anorexia, where the minute life gets out of control, the food intake just stops. And I've personally worked with this person, getting them to just take one bite of pancake and calm down, and, you know, and like do all the necessary things that you do if you find a person struggling. I've sat with this person for like 90 minutes while she attempted to eat half a sandwich because it wouldn't go down. And like, so like I've been there. I've seen what an eating disorder looks like, and this person is a close person to me, and so like I'm kind of offended on behalf of that person. And I'm not going to claim that I've had an eating disorder. I haven't, but I have pretty interesting food issues myself, and I find certain holidays and things of that nature triggering for myself. It all began in 2013, but that's a whole different animal. That's a different video. I'm not getting into it. So basically I'm saying I've taken a year and a day to tell you that I know. Okay. And so from what I understand of what Joey and Daniel said and what Gabbie is saying, she's just using it rather conveniently. It's rather a coinky dink that she is trying to say out there, that she's out there saying that they triggered her eating disorder in an effort to defame them, when they had the audacity to say things that might defame her. And they weren't even saying it to defame her. They were ready to let it lie. But she felt the need to come back, because that's another thing that she does. She comes back. Reminded of the movie Casino by Martin Scorsese, when they say of Joe Pesci's character,
"You beat Nicky with fists, he comes back with a bat. You beat him with a knife, he comes back with a gun. And if you beat him with a gun, you better kill him, because he'll keep coming back and back until one of you is dead."
And emotionally, that's what Gabbie Hanna does. You come at her on level 1, she's going to hit you back with level 6. You come at her with a 6, she's going to come out with a 10. She doesn't stop. She's like a dog with a bone. And that bone is, look at you, you narcissistic abuser, you gaslighter. I think that if a person, like she's like the woman who cried gaslighter, and look, I don't know what went down years ago. I don't know what she suffered at the hands of friends when she first came to LA to be a creator. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that she's without turmoil. She could have been victimized at some point. You know, I don't know that. I wasn't there. But it sure as heck doesn't give a person the right to bring it up conveniently when you need something, when you need to spin a narrative, when you need to look like the good guy again, when you want to slam a person for real or imagined criticism of you. I'm not even going to get into what she did to poor Rachel Oates, who had the audacity to criticize her poetry book, Adultolescence. I don't know all the details there, so I'm not going to speak on it. But from what I understand from the research I did watching videos to prepare for this video, I'm astounded that she has this inability to take criticism. And Inability to take even the most constructive and friendly criticism is the hallmark of a person who's wildly unstable.
That she's actually intellectual enough to understand art. I accept my criticism from talented, smart people, not abusive, toxic, exploitative bullies on YouTube. Hey, Rachel, instead of hopping in my DMs trying to bully and gaslight me from your own abuse, you could just apologize. I know that if I did anything like this, I would be called manipulative, sociopathic, narcissistic, attention hungry, money hungry, but that is what you are. What you did was bully and harass me for months, and then when you got called out of it, got super defensive. Like, you literally just ran away and blocked me instead of looking at your own criticism. You can't take criticism towards yourself at all. I've still never blocked you after all of the harassment, but you can't stand even the tiniest ounce of criticism. You're a fucking monster. You're a bitch. Narcissistic abuses, when somebody hurts you over and over and over again over a prolonged period of time, and then whenever you finally stand up for yourself, they say you're having a breakdown.
And I think that the wild instability I speak of was absolutely shown when she feared she was shadow banned by YouTube last year. I looked at the video. I watched her. They have those videos like Gabbie Hanna aggressively typing for 5 minutes straight or whatever. And I watched the ones where she did that for interest. But I also watched hers. I watched her. It was a live or something like that. She had a green ponytail at the time, and she was rather unhinged. And so when I say that she's weaponizing mental health, I'm not out here saying that she's not suffering. I think that she's a highly disturbed human being who really needs someone to listen to her in a neutral setting and figure her out. And I think she needs to talk turkey with a professional and get it together so that if she gets help, other people will be helped. You know, I think that the sins of the father are visited on the generations. Well, I think that it's been true in my life that the indiscretions of the mentally ill are visited upon their audience. You know, that like I didn't exactly behave in a stellar fashion when I was in my manic episode. So that's why I understand that she's not behaving stellarly when she's going through this. I think that she's a deeply unhappy person, and she hurts more than we care to know. And that's all well and good, but like, that is not an excuse for your bad behavior. You know, like, I mean, when I was manic, I hurt a couple of people, and like, I apologized to them and I meant it. And it was up to them to take my apology or not. And I will always be, to some people, the girl who was crazy in 2005. And again, briefly in 2008. I will always be the person who ruins that New Year's Eve or ruins that vacation or whatever. And I own that, and that's okay. You know, like, I mean, if you don't want to talk to me again, that's your prerogative, but I owned it. I wasn't out there saying it's because look at what you made me do. Like, it's because you said blah, blah, blah. I don't do that because I'm a grown ass person who owns up to my mistakes. So like, that should be more people, including Gabbie Hanna. Do you see what I'm saying? And lastly, I'd like to touch on this idea that Gabbie Hanna showed mental instability on her TikTok. She was on TikTok Live, and she posted a bunch of TikTok Lives where she was like, I don't know, dressed in a tank top or something, and she had really interesting hair at the time, and just the way she looked and the way she was behaving, people were like messaging like crazy. I watch my screen keep going like this with people being like, girl, please get help, are you okay, and stuff of that nature. And a couple of people making fun, but a lot of people who are concerned. And then I saw, and it disappeared. It's like evidence was like there and like then gone out of the blue, sort of like evidence about the Kennedy shooting with the Corsicans, you know. And there was this documentary that disappeared, where somebody leaked a Discord message that Gabbie sent to her fans, and she said that it was all for show, that she was behaving erratically and in a manic way for attention for like the release of something, you know, like she was trying to garner attention with her behavior on purpose. And that's where it hits me. That's where me, a person who lives in fear that they'll stop manufacturing lithium because I need it to like stay out of prison, you know, like a person who talks too fast and has to remind herself, a person who interrupts people and has to have the little man tell her, don't do that, save your words for later, a person who acts impulsively, a person who like doesn't open her mail for months at a time and says, oh no, why am I in debt? Like all the things that being bipolar and manic do to me. That's where I step in and say, hey, not cool. That's offensive. You don't have the privilege of acting crazy for attention. I mean, would you ride around in a wheelchair and go as Christopher Reeve for Halloween? You know, people would be offended at that. Well, mental illness is the same as physical illness, except that it's in your noggin. It's not in here, okay? I hurt in here. And for a person to manufacture the things that I suffer from, I've got a problem with that. You know, and I'm sorry that I'm getting a little angry. I get it. This is Linda's World is not a place for bad tidings, you know, but like, dude, seriously? And I can't, I have to move on from this because I'm a little upset. And so I'd like to close with little tidbits that I have picked up along the way that I just want to make sure enter this video. I don't know that it's fair for Gabbie to have unleashed a hate mob of her fans, some of whom were not of age, on helloleesh. Alicia, I don't know if you'll ever see this video, but you inspire me more than you know. And I enjoy your content immensely. And I'm so happy that from time to time we have a DM conversation because you're a lovely human being. And I don't think it's fair that they did that to her and her friends last summer. I don't think that it's fair that she gets to announce to Jason Nash that Trisha Paytas has herpes when she doesn't, as far as I understand, and then fall back on saying, I was just trying to help a friend, but then be a shitty friend to her actual friend who got assaulted while she slept by her disgusting, predatory ex-boyfriend. Like, I don't know that that's what you do. Like, I don't know that that's what being a good friend is. Like, it's like, if you're that conditional a friend, I don't know that I want to be your friend, you know? And there I conclude. So I'm sure that I've missed a lot of information on this video. And there's so many, I mean, I could have a gosh darn series. I mean, I could do just Angelica Oles for a day. I could do just Alex James for a day. I could take all of these people that have had Gabbie Hanna's weapon of mental health jargon pointed at them so long and so often that it's like remember that line of Mean Girls? She's a life ruiner. She ruins people's lives. That's what it's doing. I am going to remember that this is a lovely summer evening and it's actually pouring rain outside, and I'm going to watch something on television that is light and airy and has nothing to do with mental health or Gabbie Hanna, because I think I need to cool myself down and enjoy the evening. So I'm going to bid you adieu. And I'm just want to I don't know if you've stayed till the end of this video, thank you. I just want to give a huge shout out to two creators specifically who inspired me to do this work this evening. One of these is helloleesh, I mentioned you before, and the other is sajak. I think that your work is awesome too. I'm a new subscriber and I look forward to seeing a hell of a lot more because you're awesome. And that's pretty much all I've got. So I'm going to go and, well, comment below what you think of this whole situation. And if you're just watching these videos because you like me in real life and you don't know any YouTube drama, I apologize for this video. It's what I had to say.